The other special counsel investigation, the one into President Biden's mishandling of documents, done, completed. The Attorney General has the report. In a letter obtained by NewsNation, Attorney General Merrick Garland telling lawmakers, quote, Special Counsel Robert Hur submitted to me his final report. Prior to submitting his report, Special Counsel Hur engaged with the White House counsel's office and the president's personal counsel to allow comments on the report. That included review by the White House counsel's office for executive privilege consistent with the president's constitutional prerogatives. Now, Garland did not give any detail on the results of the report, but he went on to say, I'm committed to make as much of the special counsel's report public as possible, consistent with legal requirements and department policy. But what does that mean? I mean, does that mean a lot of the report isn't going to be made public? People are going to go crazy. Remember, Special Counsel Robert Hur, a Republican who served in the Trump administration, was retained to investigate President Biden last year after classified documents were found at the president's former office and later his Wilmington, Delaware home. President Biden was interviewed by the special counsel in October. Joining me now is Mark Zaid, one of the best-known national security lawyers in the country, who has represented individuals who've been accused of mishandling classified information. All right, Mark, first of all, let me just ask you the big picture question. Does this mean that there's no recommended indictment? Can we read into that?
Well, I think that's going to be pretty much the case. I mean, for one thing, of course, Department of Justice policy is you don't indict a sitting president. So Joseph Biden doesn't have anything to be concerned about. But, you know, historically, by precedent, in the 30-plus years I've been handling these cases, these types of cases are never prosecuted when there is no deliberate mishandling or obstruction of the return of the documents. You don't see prosecution, you see administrative action. So I'm pretty confident there will be no recommendation for prosecution. I'm more interested in seeing what the pathway that got there, because I don't think anyone realistically believes that Joseph Biden, at the end of his vice presidential term, packed up all his files, trucked his own boxes to his office at the University of Pennsylvania, or took them home to his Delaware office. Staffers packed up all of these boxes.
And that, as you know, that's the same argument that people on the Trump side make, right?
Well, in short, and if Donald Trump, when he was contacted by the National Archives, said, hey, by the way, my staff brought all these documents back and I'll return them, of course, then there wouldn't have been any case. It's the obstruction that led to the prosecution.
Let me ask you, Attorney General Garland talking about redacting a lot of information, that seems like dangerous business to me.
It could be. I can envision that where the documents were in the White House and the types of documents and who had access to them, that could possibly be sensitive by way of White House executive branch privilege and policy. I can't imagine that Merrick Garland, knowing the optics surrounding this case, is not going to ensure a sufficient, if not almost in its entirety, of this report will be public to see both factually how they got to where they got, wherever Hur got to, and then what the recommendations are. I could definitely see recommendations as to how to better handle classified documents at the end of the tenure of a vice president and presidential term to make sure this doesn't happen again, that some of that could be redacted so that people can't figure out how to get access to the records.
Yeah. Mark Zaid, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.